Hi everyone, my name is Erica, and tonight I'm going to talk about data wrangling in R. A little bit about me. I am a member of this session of Clarify Champions, and I am a recent graduate of Adelphi University with a degree in computer science, and of the Microsoft Research Data Science Summer School this past summer. So what is data wrangling? Data isn't always clean and perfect when it first is collected. Sometimes it needs to be manipulated or squished and cleaned up to be what is needed to do any sort of analysis. And data wrangling is just that. It's cleaning it, transforming it, reshaping it, and putting it all together to prepare it for data analysis. Tools for data wrangling in R. I'm going to talk about using RStudio with the packages readr, lubridate, dplyr, and tidyr. To install all of this, you're going to want to install R first, and I'm using the version 3.3.1 Bug in Your Hair, the most recent release. You'd also want to download RStudio, and in RStudio you would want to download and install the 4 packages that I'm going to be talking about: readr, lubridate, dplyr, and tidyr, which you can do in the console as shown at the bottom. And after installing the packages, you want to load them into RStudio using the library function, also shown at the bottom. The data I'm going to be using for this example is some of the city bike usage data for January of 2016, which is available at that link. And if you are going to follow along with this, you can extract the CSV file, and then in RStudio you're going to want to go to Session in the top ribbon and go to Set Working Directory and choose the directory in which you have extracted the file. readr is a package for reading data into R. Say you have a flat file, it's a CSV or a TSV or has some other delimiter. readr is a good package for fast and efficient reading in data into a data frame in R. And there are a few defaults. Read CSV is delimited by a comma. Read CSV2 is delimited by a semicolon. Read TSV is delimited by a tab. Or you can use read delim and give it not only the file name, but also a delimiter character, such as a pipe or ampersand or any other character. Lubridate is a package for managing dates and times, and it can be used for reading in character strings in date formats, such as if you have a column in your data set, and when it's read in with readr, it's of type character as opposed to a date. And MDY stands for month, day, year, and then HMS is hours, minutes, seconds. And you can also do just dates or just times, such as YMD for year, month, day. And lubridate also allows you to calculate the difference between 2 times by passing the 2 times and also passing a unit that you want the difference calculated in. dplyr is a data manipulation toolkit package, and it has 5 primary functions, which are select, filter, mutate, summarize, and arrange. Select allows you to pull out a subsection of the data, of the columns. Filter allows you to pull a subset of the observations or rows. Mutate allows you to add new columns. Summarize allows you to reduce each group to a smaller number of summary statistics, such as a count of how many observations have that particular value. And arrange allows you to reorder the rows, such as arranging in ascending or descending order. And tidyr is a tidying package, and it allows you to reshape the data, and its 2 primary functions are gather and spread. Say you have a data set that has a list of people and their scores on day 1 of an event and their scores on day 2 of an event. Gather would allow you to gather the score columns and have a column for days and a column for scores, as opposed to having a column for day 1 score and day 2 score and so on. And spread would allow you to do the opposite. Say that you have a column with different days in it, and you want to have a column for each one. So instead of just having day and score, you could have day 1 score, day 2 score again. And now let's move on to RStudio. I'm going to load in these 4 libraries. You can run individual lines in an R script by pressing Command Enter or Control Enter on a PC. The first thing we're going to do is read in the City Bike CSV using read CSV. I have to set session to my desktop, which is where I have the file saved. And additionally, if we wanted to use read underscore delim, we would pass the delim character being a comma. And also, if we wanted to get a little bit fancier here, you'll see in a minute that the dates and times were read in as character strings for the start time and stop time of each trip. And read CSV has some options, some neat options outside of just reading in the information, where you can set the column types ahead of time, and you can specify specifically that their date and the format of the date is month, day, year, and hours, minutes, seconds. And let's take a look at our trips. And we have a data frame. And if we look at the head of our trips, we can see the types. Notice that start time and stop time were read in as character strings. And just for the sake of cleaning things up a little bit, I'm going to use some base R functions, and I'm going to change the column names to not have spaces in them and to rather have underscores. And also the last column is gender, and it's factors of 0, 1, and 2, and I'm going to go ahead and change that to unknown, male, and female. Great. So say that we wanted to make the start time and stop time to be time objects as opposed to just character strings. To do that, we would be able to use this parsing function that reads in month, day, year, hours, minutes, seconds to create a time. And we're going to replace the value in the column with the value calculated here. And let's go ahead and do that. And let's look again. And now they are both of type time. We can also just read in a single character string like this, and date has the value of 2016, 9/29, today. There are also functions in which you can extract a certain part of a date-time object, such as the year, the day, the month, and here I'm going to use year to extract 2016. Dplyr. First, we're going to look at mutate and say that we wanted to add a column to our data set that is just the day that this trip started on, instead of it being a full date and time. We can create the column start day like this by using day to extract the day out of it. And also, if we wanted to use diff time to calculate the difference between the start time and the stop time and add a separate column on, we can do it like this. And now we want to look at these columns we just created. Well, the difference between column. And we are going to select out the 4 columns that we looked at from trips. Start time, stop time, trip duration, and difference between. And here we can see start time and stop time. trip duration, and the difference between that we calculated. There might be some slight differences depending on how seconds are calculated. Both of these values are in seconds. Filter. There are two types of customers for the City Bike. There are customers who are one-time users, or there are subscribers who pay to subscribe to the City Bike service. Say we wanted to look at the trips where the user was a subscriber. We would check for user type is equal to subscriber, and let's look at this. And here we can see these are all of user type subscriber. We can also use filter to check for missing values. Here we're going to pick out all the observations where there is no birth year value. All of these observations are missing birth year. If we wanted to count them, we can use filter in combination with nrow, which counts the number of rows. 24,545 observations do not have a birth year. Let's see how many there are in the entire set. So there are 509,478 observations in the entire data set, and 24,545 don't have birth years. That's a relatively small amount. We can use summarize to count how many observations have each birth year by using summarize. Here we can see that the birth years start in 1885, supposedly, and that there are 63 observations that have that birth year. If they're still riding a bike, good for them. And finally, arrange. We can rearrange the observations by sorting columns. Here we're going to sort birth year in descending order. The youngest rider was born in 2000. For tidyr, I'm going to use a smaller data frame for the example. And this data frame is going to have a list of people and their information, their day 1 score, and their day 2 score. I'm going to load this in. And say we're going to gather the scores by day. So instead of having day 1 score and day 2 score, we're just going to have day and score. And here we can see that the days were rearranged by what was the name of each column. And the scores were added on here. And the participants are listed twice because they each have a day 1 score and a day 2 score. We can also do the reverse by using spread. And we have spread them back out into day 1 and day 2 by spreading day and score back into 2 columns. And that's everything I have. Welcome to Basic Data Wrangling in R.